Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm Alfonso Del Percio. I'm in charge of this module, and this is one of several feedback videos that I'm gonna produce after you have completed all of these units. So this is the feedback video for Unit 9. And first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you who have submitted their rationals. I see that many of you have not or not yet, and I would really encourage you to all do these exercises because I consider them extremely useful for you to start kind of shaping your ideas and to start shaping of your projects. I mean, on a more formal level, you know that all this is compulsory, so you are obliged to do this, and you won't. I won't allocate you a supervisor if you don't submit your proposal in time. So this is the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that I'm really impressed by your ideas and by what has already been done so far. So this is really fantastic. Congratulations to all of you. I see a lot of good things, good ideas that are already there, and that of course need a bit of elaboration. But I think that this is, in all the cases, this is a really very good starting point. So there are a couple of things that I would like to make you attentive of. And so the first thing is to be a bit more careful when it comes to the assumptions that we bring to our research projects. So in many cases, what I'm seeing is that we use certain concepts like efficiency, so linguistic efficiency, performance, learning performances, motivation, and we use this concept to formulate our projects. But these concepts are important, and we tend to use them to take them for granted. So we tend, if I can use the example of motivation that seems to interest you a lot. What's happening often is that we use this concept, motivation, as if the concept in itself shouldn't be questioned. So there is something like motivation. So let's look at why people are motivated or are not motivated, or let's look at how we can increase the motivation of people. But these concepts in themselves are complicated constructs. So let's, for example, take efficiency. The question, rather than taking it for granted, it would be important that you are more clear about what do you mean by efficiency, what counts as efficiency, for who decides, and based on what criteria. Okay. So motivation also, where do you locate motivation? Is it in the inner self of an individual? Is it a societal construct? Is it something that is imposed on people externally? Is the dichotomy that you find often in the literature between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation even relevant? And why does motivation even matter, right? So what I'm asking you to do is really to spend a bit more time reflecting about the concepts that you use and that you take for granted, okay? Also, in some cases, what you can see is that some of you operate with kind of causal relationship. Okay, if we improve the pedagogy in classroom, then we will have a better outcome. Okay, so there are research projects that work like this. The question is whether you want to assume that. So it's this what you want to assume and take for granted? Isn't that relation of causality that you take for granted in itself something that would need to be investigated and challenged. So there is no right or wrong answer to this. It's just here again the way we start kind of building the project and the inner logic of the project needs to be questioned, okay, problematized, reflected, and then at the end you could come up with a research design that assumes that there is a causal relation, okay, but that needs more work and needs more reflection and needs more arguing why you think that this causal relationship can be taken for granted or must be taken for granted. And this is not just for research projects that are organized around a kind of causal argument. I think that this is a reflection that you must kind of make in any sort of research project. So is the design that seems to emerge and the logic that underpin it, the assumptions that underpin a specific research design, is it well reflected? Is it in line with your own assumptions? And is this the type of project that you want to pursue? So I wouldn't take it for granted so immediately. Also, there was another project that suggested to do a corpus analysis of discourses around COVID, and was interested also in looking at how COVID has affected on inequality, right? So the question is here whether this specific design, making a corpus analysis of COVID discourses, in what kind of relationships or in what kind of relation does it stand with the process of inequality and the making of inequality? So does a corpus analysis allow us to study inequality? There is no yes or no answer. The question is, think about it and think and try to come up with an answer why you think it does or why you think it does not, and what kind of other methodological approaches are needed to study that. So this is the first set of considerations. The second set of considerations that I wanted to make is linked to the scope and the scale, if you want, of your research project. I mean, it's great, and I really think this honestly, that I saw all this enthusiasm behind, or it seems to me that I'm reading that in your text, that there is a lot of enthusiasm for the work that you want to do, and this is great, and please keep that. Now, what is important is that you keep in mind that this is a small, very small scale project, and that the many things that you are suggesting that you would like to do in your rationals can't be done just because of the time, okay? So you have only a couple of weeks, if you want, in order to collect your data, because this whole MA project, needs to be structured in several parts. So you will have to spend a bit more time thinking about what you want to do. Then you will have to manage data collection, all the things that need to be done in order to prepare it. Then you need to do data collection. Then you need to process that data and start analyzing that data. And then you need to start writing. And the writing is going to take a lot of time. So all this in order to say that you actually don't have a lot of time to do this research. So it would be good from the beginning to just kind of focus on one particular thing and then leave the other aspects to future research. This will require you to make choices. It's going to be painful probably for some of you, but I think it's necessary, okay? The second thing, the last thing that I would like to say is that please don't forget that a lot of things that you want to study have been already studied or are studied by your teachers. So by all my colleagues in our team who we have a very wide range kind of expertise in our team. So one way of moving forward would be really to start reading the work of your future or potential teachers and supervisors, right? because this will also allow you to kind of focus more on one aspect instead of another. And sorry, and it's also going to help you kind of generate new ideas, or then to confirm that the ideas that you already have. Okay, so this is everything for the moment. As you can see, I gave each of you individual feedback, which is really project specific. These were more general comments, just to keep in mind for in the next week. You can, I'm gonna make all the activities available for Unit 10, and it would be great if you would continue discussing each other's project. I like the kind of engagement that you show and kind of the feedback that you give to your peers. This is great because they are not gonna learn from me, or not only, but they are gonna learn a lot from your the feedback that you can give, and my feeling is that it's really very useful. So see you next week, and keep working on your projects. I'm really seeing very good stuff coming up. I'm really happy about this. Bye bye, and have a nice rest of weekend. Bye bye.